Greetings photography buddies. I've often said that if I could only have one prime lens in the world, it would be a 35mm one. On a full frame camera, it's one of the most popular and versatile focal lengths out there, giving you a nice wide angle, but not being so wide that your subject is uninvolved in the final picture. And when they have bright maximum apertures, you can also get some really nice background separation out of them, really drawing you into their images. And on an aps-c camera, they give you a tighter image with a really noticeable emphasis on your subject. With the emergence of new and increasingly dominant mirrorless camera systems, they are experiencing a real renaissance, with seemingly endless new ones making their way to market nowadays, and corner-to-corner sharpness is particularly important on a wide-angle lens. In the history of this channel, I have now tested out 35 35mm lenses. So, to mark the occasion, here are the 7 sharpest that I have come across so far. As usual, links to full reviews are available in the description below, and no fanboying in the comment section, okay? You know who you are, fanboys. And also, fair warning, a lot of these lenses are only for Sony E mount cameras until Canon and Nikon do the right thing and open up their camera systems to third parties. First up, in the 7th place, comes the Samyang AF 35mm f1.4 FE. This lens is actually getting on a little bit now, but its sharpness is still really excellent. Even in its corners at f1.4 you see good sharpness and contrast, although it does suffer from a little chromatic aberration there. This has been a popular lens for Samyang, and deservedly so. Its bright aperture, comparatively low price, and better image quality than its old and very expensive competitor, the Sony Zeiss 35mm f1.4 ZA, mean it's an awesome choice for those on a lower budget, and I've been using my copy of this lens for shooting lens reviews for many years now. Next comes the Canon EF 35mm f1.4 L USM II. It really impressed everybody when it came out back in 2015, and it's still a really nice optic today for Canon digital SLR owners, one of the best. But I checked my test results carefully, and it couldn't quite reach the dizzying heights of the other lenses on this list, designed for mirrorless cameras. It is worth mentioning that it's a bit easier for manufacturers to design wide-angle lenses for mirrorless cameras, so that would explain a few things. Its price is also pretty ridiculous. At number 5 comes another Samyang lens, their XP 35mm f1.2. This lens is a lot more expensive than its f1.4 brother that I just mentioned, and it's manual focus only. However, it is also blessed with an extra bright aperture of f1.2, and it's capable of slightly better sharpness in its image corners, and this is absolutely a very sharp lens indeed. However, I should note that its contrast is a bit low at f1.2, and its other image quality attributes are not spectacular, so I wouldn't say this is a lens that's particularly good value for money. I did have higher hopes for it when I tested it, but still a very sharp optic. At number 4, we have the Sigma 35mm f1.4 Art. Now, this lens comes in 2 flavours. The older DG HSM version, famous for being the very first of Sigma's new line of art lenses for digital SLR cameras, and a much newer DG-DN version of the lens, which is only for mirrorless cameras on a Sony E mount and L mount cameras. The image sharpness of these 2 lenses is very comparable, almost the same really, so I am going to group them together for this video. And at this point in the video, we are coming across lenses that are almost ludicrously sharp. With these 2, we see biting resolution and contrast in the middle of your images, and very little deterioration towards the corners. They are simply awesome pieces of equipment, and they are probably the best value for money of all the optics on this list, offering you absolute brilliance for a reasonable price. I've lost track of the times I've seen professional wedding photographers using these Sigma lenses. They are just so capable and dependable. And now, in joint third and second place, we have the Sigma 35mm f1.2 DG-DN Art and the Tamron SP 35mm f1.4. I'm sorry I had to tie these two, but I spent a long time looking very carefully at test chart pictures on my hard drive, and they are simply much too close to call. These are both absolutely stellar optics. The Tamron is particularly interesting as it marks their first real foray into the premium prime lens market, and the Sigma lens because of its extra bright maximum aperture of f1.2. At their maximum apertures, I'd say that the Tamron lens is maybe just a tiny little whisker sharper than the Sigma, maybe, but the Sigma's aperture is a little brighter, so it kind of balances out. Both lenses are very expensive, not to mention big and heavy, some would even say impractical. I would slightly prefer to use the Sigma lens myself though, as I really like having the slightly brighter aperture. It's only a small difference between f1.2 and f1.4, but I can often see that in my images. And in the number 1 position, it was a close call, but the new Sony FE 35mm f1.4 G Master lens really is the sharpest 35mm option available today, offering simply stunning resolution and very high contrast in all your images from corner to corner, from f1.4 up to f11. There was a lot of noise on the internet about this lens, a lot of seemingly hyperbolic reviews, so I was really looking forward to testing it out, and it really didn't disappoint. There's not too much more to say about it than that. It's one of the most expensive options on this list, but if you really want the very best, then this is it, so congratulations Sony. Now, here are 1 or 2 honourable mentions for you, just to wrap things up. First honourable mention goes to the Nikon Z 35mm f1.8s. I've been really enjoying testing out Nikon's new Z mount camera lenses, and they're coming thick and fast. Generally, although they're expensive, they tend to be very sharp. This one isn't quite as good as some of Nikon's other Z mount lenses, but it produces pretty dependably sharp images without any nasty surprises in its picture quality. The Fuji XF 35mm f2 is the only lens in this video which is designed just for aps-c cameras, but I simply had to mention it as it really is so ridiculously sharp. Well, unless you're shooting something very close up, and this is also one of the best options out there for owners of Fuji X cameras. There's even a low-budget XC version available with cheaper build quality, but exactly the same sharp optics, making that one of the best low-budget lenses of all time. And finally, the Sigma 35mm f2 DG-DN-C. This lens is a complete joy to handle and work with. Its build quality is so solid, metallic, tightly assembled and tactile feeling that having it on your camera is a pretty addictive experience, and it's almost as sharp as the other lenses you've seen in this list. Well, what do you look for in a wide-angle lens? Sharpness, for them, is important, but it's not everything. Let me know in the comment section below, and for now, take care and God bless.